we're definitely in the middle of farmlands in a big building. So there's probably some big awesome stuff in here. So show us what you got going on here.
So I'll take some of this out back and show you more of it. But just while we're standing here, this is our Can-Am belt change tool. It makes it super quick and easy. Thread it in, pop it open, you change your belt.
Probably see that on my videos. I've shown that. It's an amazing tool.
Super handy. Something everybody should have in their glove box.
These guys are all about quality, like machine billet. I would have made it out of some coat hangers or something like that just to make it cheaper. Ah, okay. Magic clutch weights. Those are pretty.
Yeah, so we take
those are very pretty.
We take and make these in-house just down the road, which we'll hopefully show you a little bit later on where they're made.
What is that made of? Because
this is made out of stainless steel.
I was going to say, who is the guy that you pay that runs a torch and just heats it and makes that bronze color?
Yeah, they just paint it, you know.
Well, I've done it with titanium foot pegs, and I just take a torch and heat them until they're blue.
Yeah.
And
so we've got
it makes it look super cool, but you can't really see them.
Yeah, no, we actually have a precision oven for heat treating them, and it actually hardens the weights. So gives you the beautiful gold bronze effect, as well as actually functionally makes them stronger.
That's pretty awesome. All right, so show us what else we got going on here. Let's see what the goat's making over here.
So, got a couple of our exciting tools. I don't know if you've seen this one yet.
No, what is that?
This is our new spring compression tool. And the cool thing about it is how fast it moves. So you're not wasting time while you're trying to change things.
It's got a very coarse thread on it.
Yep. It's actually a quad thread.
Quad thread?
Yeah. So it's comes from CNC machines and 3D printers. It gives you the option with a few different parts. You can buy the main kit. Just this works on most of the Can-Am parts.
Okay.
These two pieces right here.
Okay.
And then you can buy this to work on some of the Polaris and other brands as well.
And if you're working on everything, you kind of need everything. That's kind of how it works.
So.
That's wild. A lot more compact than the one I have.
Yeah, spin that down. It's pretty cool.
In my trailer. Holy cow.
It spins real easy.
Oh, wow. That gained some serious ground. If any of y'all mess with clutch kits, you know that it's like... If only we had that for shock springs.
Now we're talking.
But that's rethreading the whole shock body.
Yeah, exactly.
I hear people all the time, like, people solely won't do the right height just because of how hard it is to adjust
how
the
long
spring.
it takes to adjust it.
I have a hand compressor, so that helps, but it's still like you're there for a while. That's awesome.
So then,
of course, it's all laser etched, looking nice.
So then we have our high torque washer and high torque primary bolt.
The washer's got it's been the whole heat process, not by a person. And the washer, that's just standard how it goes in a clutch, just like
standard just goes in the clutch there. This is thicker and heavier duty, so it's going to clamp the clutch a little tighter, less risk of wanting to slip.
Okay, so with that being said, does the torque change?
Yes, well, we do, because two things change the torque. That changes the torque, and then also with the bolt being heavier duty, we actually can torque the whole thing tighter. So we torque these at right around 120 foot-pounds.
Okay, because the factory one's like 90 roughly, and I change the clutch bolt basically every 2 times I torque it.
Yeah.
Just take it, throw it away.
They have a habit of breaking if you don't.
Where they do thin down, I've actually been riding and broke one.
Yep.
The clutch breaks loose and there's the bolt laying there, and it's like, well, how do I get that out? Luck of the draw, it was a pick, and it took time, but we got it out. I don't advise that whatsoever.
No, I've had one fail on my buggy, and the clutch came off, exploded, took everything with it, took the secondary with it, all the panels, throttle body, intake. I mean, it was an expensive endeavor. So
do you offer the Torx for it?
Yes.
Does it come with that?
This kit comes with the Torx that torques it. So.
Okay. Well, that's pretty awesome.
And then it has a cool little secret sauce with it, just to make it better.
But wait, there's more.
So, I just went ahead and wrapped it up in your little Can-Am toolkit just to show how simple it is. We've got this really cool little deal. Slips in the tip of your bolt and it becomes a puller.
No shit.
So you don't have to carry a puller as well. You got the whole thing with you.
I mean, that's brilliant. That's truly brilliant. Patent pending. Because it'll be knocked off out of China and Amazon next week.
Next month, yeah.
I've actually had to do that, not like that detail, but I've had a puller that wasn't long enough, so I just shoved a bolt in there.
Yeah, I've done that before.
That was not very smart, because that puller started wedging sideways, and I about didn't get it all out.
Yeah, start to mushroom and stuff.
So once the clutch is off, that's going to float, like just sit in there. Is it easy to get it back out?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. This is magnetic, so you can pull it out with a magnet. But the other thing is, this particular one is a prototype, so it doesn't have it in it. But we will have a little snap ring, kind of like like your impacts have, those little rings.
Oh, a little retention ring.
A little retention ring. So it should stay in the bolt on the production model when you pull it out. But if it doesn't, a little magnet.
It's a loose fit.
It's a loose fit, and the magnet will pull it right out.
And it's a hardened product, so it's not going to mushroom.
Yeah.
That's a game changer right there. That's next level. Of course, you're getting a better bolt.
Yeah.
But it's also a puller at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I advise? Drill a hole in it and you make it a keychain. And then you just have your clutch puller with you at all times.
Put it on your keys.
Yeah.
Oh, bad idea.
I mean, why not? When I was a kid in high school, I blew up a few dirt bikes. It's just what happens. You know, you're riding, you're just giving her full send all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or you just don't know what you're doing and mixing oil. And old crappy bikes, blew up a couple bikes. And every time I got a piston out of a bike that was pretty scarred up, I'd hang it from my rear view mirror. Kind of like a trophy piece. Until I got a 250 piston and it about took my windshield out. So we had to downgrade that. I don't know why, that came to mind.
So here, we've got, this is what our full stage kits come in.
Okay.
We will be actually going through and renaming everything as we release a whole bunch of new levels of kits. So it'll be sand kits, trail kits, rock kits.
Kind of makes sense.
So yeah.
Kind of simplify it for the people, because like I really just need a trail kit.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to do that, and they will also be based off of your horsepower levels. So it'll be kind of, the label will be kind of the middle of the road, and the kit will be able to work on something. So for example, we'll have a trail 180 kit, and it'll work from the 120 to like 220-ish range. So it gives you a little range, but hopefully it'll simplify our stuff a little bit. But anyways,
that goes a long ways.
Yeah. Customers understanding stuff is going to make it easier.
That's awesome.
But here's our Helix. We have separate cap. Just you've seen some of this before, but we've got adjustable cap. These billet Helixes. We will be with the new kit releasing some cool new stuff with the Helixes as well. That's to be revealed soon. Comes with a secondary spring. These are used depending on your application.
Power,
yeah,
riding. Okay,
exactly.
That makes sense.
So the instructions show you whether to put it in or not.
Yeah.
And then
another keychain if you don't use
another keychain if you don't use it. And then our little cell phone suitcase. And these will come. These ones are bluer.
Oh, that's
but
pretty.
You've got your magnets. We've got 2 different size magnets. These 3 are the thicker ones, and then you get your little thin ones.
What I love about y'all's weights is the little back weight here for like the initial engagement. Because I've probably said it in videos. I've dealt with clutch weights years ago, whatever. That any clutch kit I've ever put in, it always threw a delay into it.
Yep.
A little bit of RPM gain, and then it would it wouldn't necessarily snap. It just all depends on your foot. Trail riding, rock crawling, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Like I want it to work with the pedal.
Yeah.
And y'all adding this exterior weight, and then explain to me what it does. You know, that I can actually help gain your acceleration and your initial drive, and you can do it right there outside the clutch. You don't have to take it all apart.
Yeah. You don't even have to take the belt off.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'm surprised no one's knocked that off yet.
Yeah. So in here we've got warranty registration, sticker, and your instruction QR code. Which I think some of them you have some gives people discounts, don't
I
they?
have QR codes with a discount on certain products and all that kind of stuff. So we'll throw that in there.
And it also comes with the adjuster tools to be able to adjust that helix.
Okay.
So these will pop into place here, and you can hook that in the little hole there. Oops,
Okay.
I'm not being clumsy. And readjust the spring tension with
Oh,
this.
okay.
So
Yeah.
that
Because like
comes-
the factory Can-Am clutch, it does have holes. It is adjustable, but
right.
you got to pull it out. You got to mess with this.
Mm-hmm.
I've nearly lost a finger trying to mess with that stuff by myself, like holding it like.
Yeah. You need about 4 hands. And
Yeah. That's for a far easier adjustment setup, but also, I'm sure, what's the difference on your profiles? Just different profiles for different things, or do you have
Yes.
a general profile, or?
We have somewhat of a general profile, but no, it does change. We change it based off of horsepower,
Okay.
and it will also change based off of what weight kit we're using too.
Okay.
So we will have, when we get released, we'll actually have 3 different weight profiles, and each one of those will have a completely different helix profile to match the weight profile.
Okay. I've tried to explain that before in videos, and I'll give you the rundown, and you can probably help it. The way I explain the clutches in a CVT, a lot of people are like, oh, I hate a clutch and stuff like that. Well, this is very wide range. It works very well for a wide range of people and power and stuff like that. So you picture it, it's like a 10-speed bicycle. So your lowest ratio is small here, big here. Of course, your front clutch is what grabs, and as it grows out, it pulls through the ratio and makes it taller.
Yeah.
So it's constantly doing that. So you don't necessarily just clutch the front, because it's
Correct.
kind of affecting the pull on the back.
Yep.
You can't really do the back because it's kind of affecting. So it's a kind of a give and take.
Yes.
Is that kind of a proper?
Yeah, no, that's
rundown?
a really good way to do it, because I mean, like you say, on a bicycle they've got that little spring deal so they can change one side or the other. With this, the belt's fixed length, so if something changes in the front, it has to change in the back.
Okay.
And so, like you say, as it grows on one end, it shrinks on the other, and if the profile in here, because as it's shrinking in the secondary, we're rolling along this shape right here, and this has, it's hard to see with a naked eye, but it actually has a shape to it. It's not just a straight line.
Okay.
And so as we go through the shift, we need to change this if we make a change to the shape of the front.
Okay.
We can make a weight change and not have to change this to a small extent. But if we change, and I say weight, I mean the mass, the actual physical weight of the weight. You can change the magnets, but if you make a massive change in the front, you got to make the change in the back. The other thing that this thing is doing is it's sensing the torque. So it's the torque input from the engine, but something a lot of people don't think about is your weight of your buggy and tires and the terrain, say sand, dirt, gravel, asphalt.
Yeah, 32,
is
30s,
yep,
35s.
exactly. Transmission gear, you're in low or high. That all is a measurable torque. It's doing the opposite. The engine's trying to push you, the ground's trying to stop you.
Yeah.
So they're both measurable torque, and this is sensing that. And this is kind of like a mini brain, and it's sensing those changes. And so we have to make sure that sensor is
pretty smart.
yeah.
Whoa.
We have to make sure that sensor is reacting correctly.
Okay.
And so that's why when you go from dirt, or you go from asphalt drag racing or something, and then you go drive in the rocks, your connection to the ground's different, the size of tires you're using is different, and most likely you're down in low gear now instead of high gear, so that's different. All of that makes that have to react a little differently. And so that's why we have a couple of options. We have different kits that we're going to release that'll have different profiles, and then we also, with the adjustment of the spring tension, there's a, within limitation amount where you can move it up or down as you need to.
So don't let that scare everybody. It's not like we have to go change it every time we
No.
go ride.
No,
That's what these guys are doing. They're doing the testing to know that this ratio of parts will work very well for what you're doing.
Yes.
If I'm sure you're probably one of these people, you could fine tune and nitpick this thing your entire life.
Yes.
If you wanted to. And like, hold on, that tire's a 32, but with 15 PSI and it's a 32 and a half, so we need to crank back a degree. Let's add a half a gram over here. Okay, now we're good.
Yeah.
And then, like, I get it. Like, I could be like that, but at the same time, I just want to get in and go ride.
Just get in and drive. No, that is a very important point, and that's kind of our base kits that we will have, what we call our green series. The whole purpose of that kit was to be as broad as possible, so that we've got, we will have trail, sand, dirt, but every one of them will work in the other condition.
Yeah.
We just tailored them a little bit so that the center point of their working is more focused at those different terrains.
Makes sense.
Our current kits, we only have two, the stage 2 and stage 3, which essentially the stage 2 is kind of sand and high speed trails. So open desert type racing. And the stage 3 is essentially kind of a rock / trail.
Yeah, that's
woods racing.
That's what I've used in other machines between King of the Hammers and trail riding.
Yeah.
That kit, and kind of just follow the guidelines, and it works. I mean, spot on. Like, the things work great as they come.
Oh yeah.
But you definitely up the efficiency on it.
Yes.
Like, I'll be interested with this machine because it now has a belt temp sensor from the factory.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not an infrared beaming straight to belt, but at least it's a general air temp in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of to watch the temp, because I've never ran a belt temperature sensor ever and raced the hardest races there are. Now, I'm not saying I did great by no means, but I raced them and I finished and never had a belt issue. Maybe part of that's my foot. I'm really not going that fast. A large part is in having a good kit that makes it efficient. There's no belt slip, nothing like that. So, because I have noticed on the newer Can-Ams with the P-drive clutch, they can slip a little until they're warm.
Yes.
We've encountered that a couple times, and I'm sure y'all have a fix for that.
Yeah.
Now or with time or whatever.
We've got something that we've been in prototype, actually about ready to release into beta testing, that should cure that issue. We're starting out with that as our first kit. It will be a trail rock kit, and so because we've seen that is the point of failure on the Can-Am kit. I was careful because I think OEs do a great job.
No, they make a great function.
They have such a broad range of stuff that it has to work on. So, but I would say that's the weakest point. So we're starting with that. Yeah. So we can fix that one, and then we'll move in and do some sand and high-speed desert stuff. But we do have that beta kit coming out pretty soon. Right now, it's just down to the nature of we can't get parts when we need parts. Can't get metal when we need metal. Can't get.
It kind of is what it is.
Welcome to the new world we live in.
Yeah.
But that is coming pretty quick here down the pipes. So
yeah, and like the P-drive clutch is nice. Like it is. It's smooth. They took a lot of the sliders out. It's got more rollers, so it works far more efficiently.
Oh yeah.
And talking with the Can-Am people at the truck and stuff like that, they're like, oh, this is why it works. And with the cutaway, you can see all the rollers. Like, oh, that fully makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think it actually comes from sleds.
Yes, it does.
There's a different version of it, but the same idea.
Yeah.
So y'all have messed with it.
We have quite a bit of experience with it, and from the day that was released on the sleds in, I think it was 16, we didn't have it until 17 because we're in the mountains, and the mountain sleds didn't get until 17.
Okay.
But I think it was 17 when we had it, and from the first time I rode it, I was in love. The clutch is amazing. It's responsive. You can even see it in data logs. It holds RPM better than any other clutch I've ever used. And that's saying something because we've used a lot of clutches.
Oh, yeah.
So it is a beautiful clutch. Every clutch has its own nuances, and that's where we're working through. We drop the sled stuff in there. If somebody wants a killer high RPM sand kit, I can drop my sled kit right into it, and they rally. But rock guys are going to want that.
No, we don't want that 3,000 stall and then just rock. We don't need that. Now, I know some hill climb people back home that might want it.
Yep.
But not like general trail riding.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
So, there's one other piece that I forgot about I'd like to show you. It's over here.
Are we going to it? Or
we're going to just go over here. It's a little bit dirty. So, but I wanted to point it out because we've been doing a few little structural pieces. And for guys that are having trouble with their transmission brackets wanting to break, particularly if you blow belts,
this is more of a, I'm guessing this is more as a high horsepower
yeah,
sandbag
a lot
application.
of the higher horsepower guys have issues with them, but the factory one has just little nubbins to hold your clutch cover.
Yeah.
And those little nubbins have a habit of breaking off, especially if you get like your cast aluminum housings or any of the real heavy housings. But I've done it with the stock housing before. And so we built this transmission bracket to give you something that's solid enough not to break.
Very nice.
And then we have a mating one. I think we're out of stock, or I'd show you, but that bolts onto the engine that holds your main bearing in the engine.
Okay.
Same thing. If that one, sometimes I've had a few of them crack out for the high horsepower guys, and so we made a nice billet piece that we can.
You have better replacements.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of just in case something happens.
Yep.
Or if you just want to get ahead of the game.
Yes, you stay ahead of it so you're not replacing it on
We're
the side of the road.
Push 400 horsepower. Get that billet.
Exactly.
Get that billet over here.
Exactly. So.
Well, that's pretty awesome. What happened here?
This car,
it's kind of missing a motor.
Yeah, it's got, I don't know, a couple horses short.
All of them.
All of them. Yeah, no, this particular car, we decided we wanted to see how much horsepower we could push. So we found out that the Can-Am block likes to separate at roughly 550 wheel horsepower. And so you do a normal translation of 20% loss, you're, what are you? I can't do my math that fast, but almost 650, 700 at the engine. So yeah, Can-Am motor's a beast, but you can break them.
Well,
it stretched, the physical block actually stretched on it. So
it's better than blowing the head off the top of it.
Yeah, we figured that we blew that a few times, so we figured out how to fix that problem.
Never mind.
So we fixed the head problem, we fixed the bottom end problem, and then we stretched the block.
So not only are you doing clutch kits, you're throwing big power over here also.
Yeah, we decided we had to get into the big power a little bit. It's not our primary business, but we enjoy big power. It's stuck in our blood, unfortunately. And the other thing is we had to prove that our clutches would hold. We did that 550 horse on stock clutches.
Stock clutches just with your kit?
With our kit and we've got quite a few little billet pieces that we put in them to strengthen them and make sure they're working. We also have a brace to support the front and back. You have to connect the two at that much horsepower they want to pull together. And so we built a brace to support it, and we'll have most of this product will be available, but we needed to have something we could prove our products work.
Yeah,
and we held the power. So.
I mean, that's hard to believe, pushing 500 horsepower through a belt.
Yep.
And the motor gave before the belt gave. So if y'all are having belt problems, you're doing something wrong. All right, that's all it is.
That's
all I gotta
right.
say. I mean, if homies here are making that much power on a stock clutch with just their kit stuff in it that you could buy, and still not blowing a belt, that's saying some pretty big things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a trick. I mean, there's a lot of times people I've heard it lots of times. Oh, I'm just blowing belts because I got too much power. No.
You can't tell. You cannot tell this guy that. Like, no way. Okay, what kind of power are you making? Well, I've got an RR. I'm pushing about 230.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've had one on dyno pushing 500.
Yeah. So it is what it is.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean,
just get the clutching right, and
yeah.
There's definitely you got to give belts a breather. That's one thing that's.
Yeah, I'm sure it
important.
couldn't handle 500 horsepower for
no
a 50-mile run.
No, you wouldn't keep it on the floor and expect it to survive.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter at what level. Eventually, that belt heat saturates and starts coming apart. So, you know.
But to handle that kind of power on a dyno run,
yes,
and not shred to pieces. I mean, that's all the traction you're gonna get.
Oh yeah, it doesn't slip.
There's no slip.
Nope, there's no slip. We had slicks on it because it's the only way to hang on to it.
Yeah. Otherwise, the tires would blow off.
Yeah, the normal tires. These tires are on here right now wouldn't get anywhere. Yeah.
So that's the thing. Note, clutch kits. They could save your bill. Like really, quite simple.
Exactly.
Because people, like I watch the comments and Facebook and all that kind of stuff, and there's a few main questions that are always on these pages. What's the best, cheapest? Who's got the best deal? You know, whatever. And like light bars, sound bar. Where I'm from in the southeast, it's light bars, sound bars, coolers.
Oh yeah.
That's the three top priorities. And then we get into wheels and tires. And then clutch kits are usually a question if there's a tire change.
Yes.
I tell people if you're going up in size for sure.
Yes.
It can even help on a factory size,
Yes.
but more so of a kind of a need.
Yeah.
Now, like the 22 comes with a 32 on it.
Yes.
Have you been into that clutch enough to know that there is a difference between 21 and 22, and they didn't make a difference, or was the clutch just that good? It'll carry that 32.
Well,
That may be a too much loaded question.
Yeah. Outside of what you've seen them wanting to slip a little at the bottom end, they perform decently well with the stock setup. The thing that we focus on, we do so much stuff so different. A lot of our competitors will take a factory part, they'll 3D scan it in or measure it somehow and try and more or less start with what the factory's done, which is fine. I have no caveats with that. The only thing is whatever issues they're having are already baked into the design they've got. And so we take a different approach. We use completely different profiles, which is the shape of the ramp. And in doing so, we run into our own issues because when you change that, you have to change the secondary, as we spoke of earlier.
Yeah.
You have to make a lot of changes. But when you make all of those changes, we find we can actually gain performance on stock tires, on stock with no changes to the actual buggy. You can take one right off the showroom floor and we can gain performance because we make so drastic changes, whereas our competitors tend to make minor changes. So they won't see much gain until you make a change to the buggy. Then the clutching requirements are there and the changes they make works.
So they might be planning a little bit more for the future.
Yes.
Of gains, and you're planning more on kind of what you got.
Yep.
And build from there.
And grow from there because it'll grow.
Yeah,
with
I mean, it's not saying bad about
no,
nobody. That's
no,
just
I don't. No,
it's different ways to look at it.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting. I would have never would have thought that. But yeah, that's awesome stuff.